What's going on, guys? Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, what's going on in the United States, Washington, D.C., money, investing, and the next stimulus package, which has been announced at $3.5 trillion, and which will be the largest stimulus package yet to date, as they're now putting together the bill and the final details of this next stimulus package. I'll be having several different details for you guys in this video, and we'll see you there. President Biden, former President Barack Obama, and former President George Bush Jr. all gave speeches today, and former President Donald Trump actually joined in the fray and gave a speech as well, and also hinted at a presidential run in 2024 as well, in a surprise visit to the New York Police Department precinct today, as well as he joined in the fray today. So all the former presidents in recent years have now joined in the New York remembrance today here of 9/11 on the 20th year anniversary. I was watching the special on the National Geographic TV channel, and it showed how the building collapsed, and there was actually some pockets of survivors in the building that collapsed, and they actually survived in a void and were rescued by its firefighters. Some firefighters survived with some survivors with them and radioed out, and their fellow firefighters came and said, "Don't worry, brother, we're going to come and save you." And in the collapsed building, they went and found them and rescued them. I thought that was unbelievable, extraordinary. I can't even get it out of my mind that we watched it here a few hours ago. I can't even imagine that the whole building collapsed and there was people in there that survived. It's an amazing story. So thousands of people died that day, but out of that has come some survivor stories that people are still alive today and survived 20 years later. So it's a tragic story, but out of those tragic stories, some people have actually there's some hero stories, some survivor stories. So I don't know. It's a really tough situation, and yeah, we've now come out of Afghanistan 20 years later. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. In the next stimulus package, the $3.5 trillion stimulus package, there's actually $2.9 billion for 9/11 responders. Yeah, check this out. Federal spending bill contains $2.9 billion for 9/11 responders. The nearly $3 billion is to compensate police, firefighters, and others injured responding to the 9/11 attacks as part of the $3.5 trillion spending proposal. Wow. Absolutely amazing that they're putting something like that in there 20 years later. So quite remarkable, to be honest. The money would go to shore up the 9/11 World Trade Center Health Program, which was permanently extended in 2019, along with the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund, which provides financial help for injured first responders. With the fund now running out of cash, Pallone said additional money will be included in the section of the bill being drafted by the House Energy and Commerce Committee, which he chairs. Quote, "As we prepare to remember the 20th anniversary of 9/11, our country, we must renew our commitment to never forget the sacrifices first responders made on that day and the survivors who continue to endure the physical and emotional trauma." Quote, "We can never fully repay the debt of gratitude we owe to first responders and survivors, but we can make sure that we can do all we can to make sure they have the access to medical care they rightfully deserve." The GOP, which is the grand old party, the Republican Party, is seeking a Biden referendum over the mandates, which President Biden just announced about 48 hours ago. Check this out. Congressional Republicans are blasting President Biden's latest steps to require more people to get vaccinated against as, quote, un-American, and vowing to fight back against them. Republicans will try to push back on mandates from multiple angles through legislation they've introduced to ban such requirements and legal actions as they try to make the issue a referendum of Biden's job performance ahead of midterm next year. But polling indicates that a majority of the public is on Biden's side, with most people backing requirements for workplaces, airplanes, indoor dining at restaurants, and attending events with large crowds. While Republicans' opposition requirements may reflect the views of their party's base, it risks appearing to prioritize the rights holdouts who at this point represent a minority of the American population. At this point, a supermajority of U.S. adults have taken steps to get inoculated against them. About 75% of adults have received at least one dose, and 64% are fully with 2 shots of Pfizer and Moderna or 1 shot of Johnson & Johnson, according to the Center for Control and Prevention, the CDC. So about 75% of adults have received at least 1 shot, and 64% are fully. The Hill reports Republicans are nevertheless leaning into the argument that people shouldn't be coerced into getting. Republican leader, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy says to Joe Biden, force is more important than freedom. Americans won't stand for it, end quote. However, Mitch McConnell, Republican leader in the Senate, is somewhat different. As it says here, some top Republicans have tried to promote, albeit while stopping short of calling for mandates. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican leader of the Senate from Kentucky, who is actually a polio survivor. I didn't actually know that until I read this article. He's a polio survivor and has filmed a public service announcement encouraging people. Also regarding the polio, I seen this comment from yesterday. I wanted to share with you guys. This is from one of our videos yesterday. Barbara Tenney says, when the polio was in an experimental phase, my father and 3 other parents in my 2nd grade class would not let us, as my father said, no one would experiment on his child. One of the 4 caught polio later on. Wow. I thought that was a very powerful story. Thank you so much, Barbara Tenney, for sharing us your story of the polio. This also, we know that's they're required in all 50 states for school children. So school children are required to get multiple different in all 50 states. But of course, the current right now is the one under controversy right now. We just read the story that 75% of Americans currently have at least 1 shot, but there's a lot of controversy over the mandates going on right now, and schools are starting to implement. Let me know if you remember getting smallpox or the polio down below in the comments. I've read some of your comments regarding these, and I thought that thank you for sharing your story there. I thought that was a very powerful story, but let me know your thoughts on these. I know that this current is a very, very controversial right now because it's very new and a lot of people have very strong opinions. A lot of people don't want to get, a lot of people think they're good, a lot of people think they're bad. And I personally respect everybody's decisions. I know that it's a lot of people, do whatever you think is best because everybody has, some people have medical problems. And I, for one, I'm not the person to tell you what to do. I mean, everybody, I'm in no position to tell anybody what to do regarding. So that's why I'm not here to tell anybody what to do by any stretch of the imagination. So, but yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments regarding these. There will be legal battles for sure. Republicans have said they're going to sue the Biden administration over this. So I will keep you up to date on what will be happening going forward here um, with going forward. But 75% of the United States is with at least one shot. The number is creeping up going forward. But cases are really, really bad right now. So we'll see what happens going forward. If you've been watching my videos, you know there's been a lot of stimulus news and stimulus items in the news. And I'm kind of just bringing them to you guys as I see them. There's been a lot of different stimulus programs being announced for different people, different groups of people, and a lot of different stimulus programs being announced for the next package. Here's a couple new items I've seen. Some Americans are in line for $5,000 checks. Check to see if you're getting cash. This is just for a small group of people. Some Americans in New York will be receiving a stimulus check worth up to $5,000. Around $6 billion worth of funding was allocated to state lawmakers as part of Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan. It's thought that up to 2,000 artists in New York will receive the payment, and the checks are expected to go out to be sent out by October in New York. This is part of the state stimulus checks. And this is how New York is deciding to distribute all different sections of this. This is just one section of the New York stimulus state money. More than $60 million of relief will be set aside for the state's struggling taxi industry as well, that has faced relentless competition from rivals such as Lyft and Uber. So we have artists, 2,000 different artists are getting $5,000, $60 million of relief for the state of New York for taxis. Also, around $125 million will be spent tackling homelessness in New York City. They also said that this is just the beginning. The city's decision to invest these funds will keep New Yorkers safe, restart the economy, rebuild the tax base, and increase equity and enable greater economic growth in futures. They're also planning to invest $52 million to bring tourism back. This extra cash comes a month after lawmakers in New York State approved a single $15,600 stimulus checks for certain people. This comes as the U.S. House of Representatives panel has released the spending bill section on House tax credits and infrastructure financing. The release of this bill is 645 pages alone and is still subject to change. Again, a lot of these portions of bills are like a first draft and is now released on the child tax credits and Medicare. And they have proposed to renew the $300 monthly checks. Some people call these stimulus checks. Some people just call them monthly checks to families until 2025 in the social spending package. So they do look like, as of right now, they want to extend the $250 to $300 monthly checks until 2025. But remember, this is just a first draft, and nothing is set in stone until passed. And this is just one of the items in the package. We've also had a lot of talk recently about a potential $1,400 stimulus check being included in the package, as well as a $1,000 or $600 to $1,000 check being included in there for seniors as part of a Medicare voucher, which could be included in there as well. There's actually a lot of different talk about stimulus checks or stimulus items, cash vouchers. What they're honestly, they could call it anything, just like they call the child tax credits. Well, they don't call them stimulus checks, but they call them child tax credits. Whatever they call it, it's a check that goes to you every single month and it puts money in your pocket. So I personally think there's going to be multiple different items in this package at the end of the day. But ultimately, they have to pass it and have to get people like Senator Joe Manchin on board. That is going to be the hard part of doing this, is getting all the Democrats on board at the end of the day. But they did do that for the third stimulus check package, and they got them all in there, and they all voted yes, including Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. So I will keep you up to date with everything. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.